Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. The Brian Craig Show podcast brought to you by Tom Laporta of Laporta Contracting and Roofing, who will never sell you a roof you do not need. All right, well, Kathy's a little under the weather. She is here with me, but may or may not participate, depending on how she is feeling. Okay, we've got a lot to cover. I'm going to start with this new thing with RFK Jr. because things have been developing since yesterday, and there's been a lot of very specific developments today. So yesterday, RFK Jr.'s running mate, she did a podcast interview and said they were thinking about dropping out and getting behind Trump because now they have an opportunity to start their own party. So she says, we're thinking about trying to start our own party, but we could drop out and support Trump. If we go the start our own party route, that will be helping Kamala and Tim Walz get in. And now, today, when I got off the air this morning, Twitter X started really just going crazy about this. And John Rich, who's friends with Donald Trump, he was on The Celebrity Apprentice one season. He said, I'm hearing RFK is going to endorse Trump on Friday. And I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. You know, there might be something to that because John Rich knows Trump. He's in that circle. But, you know, it's John Rich. I don't really go to him for news. I've never known him to break something. And then just a little while ago, RFK Jr.'s campaign sent out a press release. Okay? And this is the press release from the Kennedy 24 campaign. Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will address the nation live on Friday about the present historical moment and his path forward. He's going to address the nation Friday, August 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern Time in Phoenix, Arizona. The address will be provided to registered press. The subject line and the event will be live streamed on X and other social channels. Phoenix, 2 p.m. Well, and that's 9 a.m. Pacific. Well, apparently, Donald Trump is going to be at one of Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA events in Phoenix on Friday. And of all the cities in the country for the both of them to be in, with this going on, Phoenix is kind of out of the way, right? So it looks like we're going to get the endorsement of Donald Trump by RFK Jr. on Friday. And I want to talk about this because this is a very, very important thing. I know a lot of people will say, and you're right, he's liberal. He's very liberal, okay? However, there is something that Donald Trump and him agree on, that MAGA agree with Robert Kennedy on, and that's the deep state is out of control.
I was just going to say they both have been... They both are victims of the deep state. His death of his father and his uncle. And they tried to kill Trump. So that's what's holding. That's what they have in common. Now these two. I think that's what's really
exactly right.
Kind of brought them together. Is the deep state took out his family, and which he said it was the CIA. And a lot of people have said that the deep state tried to kill Trump. And that's the connection they have.
That's correct. And I've been telling you guys this for about a year. Megyn Kelly interviewed Robert Kennedy Jr. a year or so ago. She interviewed him a couple times, but she interviewed him a year or so ago and talked to him at great length about the assassination of his father and his uncle. And he believes that the CIA did it, the military-industrial complex. He said it was all about Vietnam because both of them were getting us out of Vietnam. His dad was promising, if elected, to get us out of Vietnam, and he said President Kennedy was bringing home some of the earliest troops in Vietnam, and he said after both of their deaths, there were major escalations in Vietnam. And I think what turned RFK Jr. around towards Trump was what you just said, Kathy, when they shot Trump. And this is a confirmation that from in my view, RFK may not say this on Friday, but RFK believes the deep state shot Trump and his father and his uncle.
Right.
And all that, listen, when what's happened to the Democrat Party is insane. They've always been problematic, but they have been taken over by radical anti-American people. They've been burning flags all week out inside of the convention. And in the past, Democrats always were liberal, had a problem. But there was a common thing that we agreed on, that we're Americans, there's a certain way of life, the economic system. Now they're radical communist, okay? And RFK is liberal on all those issues. He's for the Green New Deal. He's pro-choice. He's liberal. You name it, he's liberal on. However, RFK is right now nationally, in the national polls, he's polling at 4.5% in the Real Clear Politics average. In many of the states around I haven't been paying attention to the polls that include him. I've just been looking at the one-on-one matchup with Trump and Kamala. But all the polls also do a separate breakdown with RFK, okay? And he's polling in a lot of states 3, 4, 5%, okay? Now, they've been promoting this thing that I don't subscribe to. Even RFK's running mate said this yesterday, that he's pulling more votes from Trump than the Democrats. I don't believe that because he's so liberal. There are some conservative people who support RFK Jr. because he's taken a big stance against Fauci and all of that, but not as many as he's taking from Democrats. Because
we're going to find out when he drops out. We're going to find out which way the polls swing.
Yeah,
and if they swing towards Trump, then she was right.
There may not be.
If they swing towards Kamala, then he would. Then
yeah,
I'm hoping you're wrong on this. I'm hoping that this swings towards Trump. He's already swinging back ahead of Kamala by 4 points now nationally.
Yeah.
And she hasn't received any bump from the convention.
That's right.
And if this swings in Trump's favor, he could be ahead by 7 points by next week.
The thing about Robert Kennedy, now millennials and Gen Z, to them, Bobby Kennedy and Robert Kennedy, it's like Millard Fillmore. They were around 150 years ago to them. So they don't understand. Both of them died before we were born. But if you're Gen X, older, the Kennedys, a big deal, right? Everybody respects Bobby Kennedy and President Kennedy. And he was a teenager and he was with his father in California when he died, and he was a teenager when his dad died. He's old enough to remember being in the Oval Office with his uncle. And a lot of Americans feel a connection and a respect beyond the politics with RFK Jr. because of that. There's a lot of Democrats who are really disgusted by what's going on in their party, and Kennedy means something to them, and so I don't expect his cousin Caroline to come out and support Trump if he endorses him on Friday, but that is a devastating blow to Kamala. So Robert Kennedy Jr., as I said, he's polling 4.5 percentage points in the national Real Clear Politics average. If only 1% of that 4.5% go to Trump, that's a lot of voters.
Well, be ready for the liberals to bring up a lot of dirty laundry about him.
Oh yeah,
that's gonna. If he endorses Trump, they're gonna leak. I'm telling you, next week you're gonna hear all these stories.
Absolutely.
Of things about him that are gonna resurface.
The diary, all that stuff.
All this stuff. Yeah. But it doesn't matter because he's not running. He's not going to be running the country. Trump said he's open to giving him a position in the administration. I think his administration will look very different than the last one. And I think Trump's running a very different campaign. He is really not dealing with the mainstream media as much at all, like he did the first time or even second time around. He's doing interviews targeting younger voters, Gen Z particularly, and I think he's just running a very different campaign than he ever has. And he said, I know who I can trust and who I can't trust now. And I don't think he's going to bring in anybody from the deep state or from D.C. He's going to bring in all outsiders that Corey Lewandowski, people that he knows. He's not going to hire, like his chief of staff is not going to be some Washington Bill Barr guy. I can promise you that. It's going to be somebody that's a friend that he can really trust. Well, it should be.
This is what I want to see him do with RFK. I mean, RFK, if he endorses him, I want President Trump to declassify all the Kennedy files for both assassinations, completely unredacted, and put Robert Kennedy Jr. in charge of the group from the White House that organize, archive it, and release it to the public. I think that would be important for him to do.
How about in charge of the CIA, like Ryan Fournier says?
Now, this is the other thing. Well, you say Ryan Fournier, but Don Jr. was talking to Benny Johnson today, and Don Jr. told Benny Johnson that he is very okay with the idea of making Robert Kennedy Jr. the director of the CIA.
Well, then that might happen because
that's probably who killed the Kennedys, by the way.
Trump has announced that his sons will be part of his transition team.
Yes.
So Don Jr. and Eric are now, Kamala and Jared are out, and that's fine with me because they're liberal. He did not have his sons involved in his administration last time. They were running the business.
Yeah.
And this time around, he is going to bring in, like I said, he's going to bring in family and friends.
Yeah.
And if his two older sons are part of his transition team, they're obviously Don Jr., I think, and Eric have been, and even Barron have been advising him on this younger generation thing. And I think he's taking their advice. And I think he chose J.D. Vance based on their advice. Mm-hmm. And I think that he could make him in charge of the CIA then if he said that. Wouldn't that be something?
Well, Kathy, if being in charge of this, if they were to make him the CIA director, okay, just speculation on that. But if say Trump did that, that's the perfect job to have to oversee the release of all the Kennedy assassination files. And there is no reason to keep those things secret anymore. The rule of thumb with classified information from the government on high profile events like that, they keep things classified for 50 years because after 50 years, everyone's dead. Okay, so pretty much everybody involved, certainly in President Kennedy's assassination, is dead or over 100. Bobby Kennedy, a little different, but the one still alive would be very old too, right? The only reason not to release that information and to keep it redacted is not because it would damage living people, because I don't think there's many living people around with that stuff. It would indict agencies, deep state agencies, FBI, CIA, who are probably behind that. And, when those, you had reminded me today, Kathy, President Trump said that I think when he was president when he said this, I remember this. I just can't remember if he was president or not. I think he was. He said if he told us what was in those JFK files, we would be shocked. Right? And I don't think it would be a shock that the Russians did it or the mob did it or something. Yeah. I think it would be a shock if to a lot of people, well, I wouldn't be shocked, but it would be a confirmation. But a lot of people would be shocked if it was our own government that did it. And I think that's what they will show. So I'm excited about this. Is what I was saying a few minutes ago is the way it used to work. Democrats and Republicans always have had differences, but we had a common belief in the United States government, our system of government. Now we got radical revolutionary Marxist. We believed in our justice system. Now they use it as a weapon. We believed in our economic system. Now we believed in all these things. But now the Democrat Party is not that. So there's a lot of Democrats out there, if you've noticed, that are on the Trump train. Don Lemon has been going around desperate to find people voting for Kamala. He can't find hardly anyone, even when he's in black neighborhoods.
I think that has a lot to do with him getting fired.
Yeah.
And he really, he's maybe acting out or whatever, or trying to get a job on Fox or something like that. He's trying to get some kind of a job. And, but don't forget, Don Lemon was part of that lie. And if he really wanted to come clean, he would come out and say that. But he probably can't contractually say anything that what was going on behind the scenes.
They paid him $10 million when they fired him. Don Lemon, isn't that something?
He's got FU money.
Yeah,
he's got whatever he wants.
Well, so regardless,
but I do agree with you. There are people in the Democratic Party, I don't know who, that are not happy with the way the party is going.
Nope.
They're not happy with the radicalization, and they might be working to help Trump for this very reason. So, like you said, they've already voted out 2 squad members. I think if they can, Ilhan Omar, I think she'll never be voted out. She's in a heavy Somalian district.
Yeah.
I think she's in there for life. But if they can get AOC to lose her seat and maybe one more person, I think that would be maybe Tlaib. But she's another one who might be there for life because of where she lives. But if they can get AOC out, I mean, wouldn't that be incredible? But I think that there could be something to what you're saying, that Kamala is the sacrificial lamb, that they're going to let her lose. We will see what happens with Trump with the sentencing, with his hearing in September. They filed another motion for it to be put off or dismissed because of the immunity. If that judge puts him in jail, then that changes so many things. I am worried he will, but now I'm starting to think maybe he won't. Maybe he'll sentence him and then say, and then he'll like revoke it, but I mean, or do it, commute it, or whatever they do. I don't know what he's going to do. We'll find out next month, but that's something that concerns me. But Trump, you know what, Kathy, he was asked about that. He said he doesn't even think about it.
You know what? I think that if the judge sentences him to prison, even if he doesn't send him away right then, that helps Trump. It helps us.
It's going to make him more popular.
It absolutely will.
So it would be. I don't know if I just can't see it happening, but it would be.
You never know.
Remarkable, but it would make him officially a political prisoner. Mm-hmm. And I think his popularity would absolutely skyrocket, and I think it would be a death blow to the Democratic Party for decades. Mm-hmm. I really do, because as long as he's alive, that would be something that would be talked about and known about. So maybe he's not going to do it. I'm sure he's in talks with people that are connected to the White House right now. I mean, that's obvious. And, Biden, too, I was thinking about it the other day. Biden could be doing things to help Trump. He's...
Biden, I don't know where you're getting that from.
Because the Democratic Party screwed him over.
Well,
RFK, they forced him out. Nancy Pelosi did a bunch of interviews.
Yeah.
I'm not watching the DNC convention, but I've seen clips. And she was interviewed the other night and talked about how she forced him out.
She said, I did what I had to do. She's bragging. She's bragging
exactly.
about it.
She is bragging. You don't think that pisses him off? And I know he and Trump have talked. They've had friendly conversations. He could be him and his wife could be secretly doing things as to help Trump.
Absolutely.
I'm not joking.
I know that sounds far-fetched, but I think you could be right. Now, I want to tell you guys about Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. Of course, he's been with us for a long time. He is a good MAGA guy. If you're in the state of Florida and you need a new roof or a roof repair, Tom Laporta is the guy to call. He works on every type of structure, every type of roofing material. He has a special expertise dealing with your insurance company. Since he's a contractor as well as a roofer, and under Florida law, he's allowed to deal directly with your insurance company for the cost of a repair or a roof replacement. You cut out the middleman, you get things done faster, boom, okay? When you've got a damaged roof, you need a new roof or a repair, you don't want to be waiting around negotiating with a public adjuster or an attorney representing you with your insurance company. You want and need it fixed, and that speeds up the process quite a bit. He also has an incredible expertise on dealing with HOAs. So you have a homeowners association, whether it's a condo association or in your community where your single-family home is, he is very good at dealing with homeowners associations. And as I say, he works on every type of structure, homes, no matter how large or small, municipal buildings, office buildings, warehouses, churches, schools, whatever type of structure, and he works with every type of roofing material as well. I'm going to give you Tom Laporta's cell phone, and you can call him or text him, but I'd recommend you call him. You can text him, but you can. I would call and actually talk to him. His cell phone number is 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. That's 954-604-4602. For Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. Make sure you tell him that I sent you. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined with my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Fashion is more than just clothing. It's a statement about who you are. For women who love to stand out with beautiful and unique styles, visit Adriana Campasso on Etsy. At Adriana Campasso on Etsy, you'll discover a stunning collection of dresses, skirts, jumpsuits, tops, and more. They're perfect for work, a dinner date, or a night out on the town. Every piece is designed by Adriana Campasso herself. She's a Colombian designer, and she uses only locally sourced fabrics. Everything is handmade in Colombia. These garments aren't just fashion, they're art, crafted with passion and precision. Adriana Campasso is a designer who merges structure with creativity. She draws inspiration from her travels, her experiences, and the power of women everywhere. Her designs are innovative, memorable, and truly one of a kind. Are you ready to make a statement? Visit adrianacampasso.etsy.com. That's adrianacampasso.etsy.com. Find your unique style and wear it proudly at adrianacampasso.etsy.com. Have you ever dreamed of ditching your 9-to-5 job and hitting the open road? Isaac and Kim did just that, and they share everything they learned on the way on their podcast, Full Time to Travel Time, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. In Full Time to Travel Time, Isaac and Kim take you on their wild road tripping adventures across the United States. After 6 years of nonstop travel, these seasoned explorers have visited 40 out of the 63 national parks, all while building a successful business that now mostly runs without them. They went from full-time workaholics to full-time adventurers, and they're here to share how you can do it too. Full Time to Travel Time is on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Tune in and hear Isaac and Kim's fun stories, expert tips, and inspiring journeys from the daily grind to the great outdoors. Whether you're a weekend traveler or dream of a life on the road, Full Time to Travel Time is the podcast for you. Start listening right now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, because life's too short to stay in one place. As men, it's hard to find a place with real conversations about the ups and downs of life as a man in today's world. But the Two Fellas podcast with hosts Dave and Steve does just that. Dave is a private chef. Steve is CEO of a marketing agency. They're longtime friends who bonded over their love for honest and raw conversation. They face their own traumas. Steve is a survivor of years of abuse, and Dave carries the emotional scars from a devastating house fire. These experiences brought them closer, and now they're sharing their journey with you. On the Two Fellas podcast, Dave and Steve tackle tough topics like trauma, anxiety, and much more. But they do it with humor and honesty and a whole lot of heart. The Two Fellas podcast is a place where men can talk openly, find support, and start to heal through shared experiences. Join the conversation and break the silence around men's mental health. And the Two Fellas podcast, that's the number 2, and Fellas is Fellaz, to your podcast playlist on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, TikTok, and all major podcast platforms. Share the podcast on all your social media so your friends can join the community too. The Two Fellas podcast with Dave and Steve. Real talk for real men. Tune in right now. Have you been looking for an all-natural solution for your muscle pain, anxiety, and to help you sleep better? Then visit earthyco.shop. At earthyco.shop, you'll discover a natural remedy designed for your wellness. Earthyco.shop's magnesium oil spray is sourced directly from the Dead Sea. This 100% pure magnesium chloride solution has already helped over 10,000 people. It's easy to use, highly absorbent, and provides targeted relief. With just 10 sprays, you'll receive 150 milligrams of magnesium for a potent, natural wellness boost. Plus, it's delivered in premium-grade glass with no BPA, microplastics, or harmful residues. Did you know that over 75% of America's population is deficient in magnesium? This vital mineral plays a critical role in over 300 biochemical reactions in your body, from energy production to heart health, as well as mood regulation. Earthyco.shop's magnesium oil spray ensures that you get the essential magnesium you need directly through your skin, which is the body's largest organ. There are no additives, no fragrances, nothing is artificial, just pure, 100% natural ingredients. Don't wait. Reclaim your health and your well-being today by visiting earthyco.shop. Your path to natural wellness starts now. earthyco.shop.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. You know, Trump's rally today he did with J.D. Vance in North Carolina. There was a woman in the grandstand behind him who they had to call the paramedics heat stroke. You know, and it's pretty hot at those rallies because it's not just the heat of the day. You're surrounded by all that body heat from all the people, and you're cramped in, and it's hard. I have a hard time
Yeah, that's why I can't go.
But this woman nearly collapsed. And of course, Trump stopped the rally. She was behind him. EMT came down. They brought her down to take her out, and Trump left the stage. I've never seen somebody do this, and went over and talked to her and everything else, and hugged her. She was freaking out.
I think he's always appreciated and loved the audience, but I think after Corey got killed, I feel that Trump, because he always talks about how the audience is so brave and they didn't run or stampede. Yep. He mentions that all the time. He's always loved the audience and us, but I think since that happened and since a civilian got killed at one of his rallies, I think he feels an even more special affinity to the people there, and he just appreciates it even more than he did before. I mean, I just sense that in him, that he's just like in awe of these people that come out and are risking, some of them risking their lives. I mean, one guy got killed because of someone,
and 2 others shot.
That's right.
You know, the thing with the heat stroke and people collapsing, when Obama would give speeches and somebody would have a problem like that, he would laugh. He thought it was he thought
they were swooning.
It was like the Beatles with the teenage girls, you know, and
swooning over him.
That they were just passing out because they were overwhelmed by his presence. And he used to get excited about, oh, they passed out. They can't handle
sick.
Isn't that pretty crazy? But that's how Obama used to handle it. It was really, he's a twisted narcissist is what he is. So this is a clip of President Trump. This is at the rally today, and it fits into what we were talking about in the last segment. He's talking about Biden here. Listen.
You know, Biden is really angry. You know, he's very angry. He was so angry the other night, he's like seething. You ever see a guy make a speech? There's such anger and so uncomfortable, just shouting.
Yeah, he's right. And, you know, Biden, we've been talking about this. Biden and Jill feel betrayed by their friends of the last 50 years.
Yeah, that's exactly because they have been betrayed by them. And I'm telling you, I would not be surprised if Biden did something or did some things to either leaking or whatever. Biden is not a nice guy.
No,
he's a nasty guy.
Terrible person.
And you think he's just going to roll over, you know, and just take it? Believe me, he's going to get back at these people one way or another. And I think it's going to be by helping Trump win.
And I'm surprised he hasn't pardoned Hunter yet. What's he waiting on? You know, he's not running for re-election. And Hunter's thing is coming up. I don't know what he's going to do it. I don't know why he doesn't. Okay, now, this is amazing. This is from Newsweek. Newsweek is very liberal, very Democrat. Remember, Newsweek, the reporters at Newsweek are the ones that found out about Bill Clinton having an affair with a 25-year-old intern. And Newsweek is so liberal, they wouldn't report the story. And the reporters leaked it to Matt Drudge, okay? So they're very, very liberal. I want to go through this story. Here's the headline. Kamala Harris not leading a single battleground state in new poll. This is in Newsweek. And this just dropped today at noon. So I guess we're starting to get the first polls since Walz, right?
Yep.
Is on in the ticket, and maybe even since her Marxist speech last Friday.
Right.
But I'll just read this story. This is amazing. Vice President Kamala Harris is not leading a single battleground state, according to a new poll. The survey conducted by Navigator Research between July 31st and August 8th showed the Democratic presidential nominee and President Donald Trump are tied in Michigan, North Carolina, and Wisconsin. And the other poll, she was up in Michigan and Wisconsin, okay, and in some of these polls, not by a lot, but up. So Trump's, not only are they tied, that means Trump's gained a few points, and that, you know, while Harris is behind in both Arizona and Pennsylvania. And keep in mind, in Michigan and Wisconsin, she's been ahead lately. In the 2020 presidential election, Biden carried Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Trump defeated Biden in North Carolina. However, the states are now neck and neck, according to the Navigator researcher. In Michigan, the two are tied on 44% each when third-party candidates are included, while in Wisconsin, they're tied 45, and in North Carolina, tied 46. But in Arizona and Pennsylvania, Kamala is performing worse than Trump, who is 1 point ahead of her in Arizona, 46% and 2 points ahead of her in Pennsylvania, also on 46%. Okay, and it goes on. I'm not going to go through all the details beyond that. It's just a lot of numbers and stuff. And I know what you're saying. Well, that's pretty neck and neck, Brian. This is a liberal poll, right? So it's oversampling of Democrats, and a lot of MAGA people will not talk to a pollster. A lot, and I would feel the same way. If I got a call from a pollster, I would feel like I was getting set up, wouldn't you, Kathy? I mean, I'd be very suspicious.
Well, Trump said a lot of people are afraid to admit they're going to vote for him.
That's
too.
true.
And there are people that are like that.
There's a lot of that. That's exactly right. There's a lot of that, and the people are after the treatment of the J6 prisoners and so many things that have the lawfare and other things that have gone on. People are very suspicious of people asking them who they're going to vote for and how they're going to vote if they don't know who they are, especially some random phone call. But Newsweek is liberal. This is an oversampling of Democrats, and still Kamala is in the latest, even a liberal poll, is not ahead in a single battleground. That's huge. And the ratings came out today for the beginning of the Democrat convention. TV ratings for the first night of the DNC convention were 22% lower than they were in Hillary's convention in 2016, according to Nielsen. And, I'm not watching the convention. I find out the highlights in the news, okay? I'm not going to sit there and watch that crap. I don't have the patience for it. And I'm certainly not interested in hearing a week of America bashing. And it's just not where I'm going to spend my time. I have no patience for that. But I have been following it and seeing the highlights and everything else. This is the most uneventful political convention that I remember.
Well, Trump said so far they've mentioned his name 225 times.
In 2 nights.
I mean, it's
just in 2 nights.
It's the I Hate Trump convention. Mm-hmm. There's nothing about it about a vision or hope. And then Kamala says she's going to fix the economy. The press has been telling us that the economy's great for the last 3 years.
And she's the one that wrecked it with Biden.
Bidenomics, but she's going to fix it. You know what I mean? But I thought the economy was doing so well.
Yeah, that doesn't even make sense.
No, well, they don't make sense.
And the Obamas last night, I did go back this morning to hear what they had to say a little bit. Because I don't like it, but I have to. So I can talk about it. I have to be informed. They said nothing. They absolutely said nothing.
Well, and she left, which is, Trump
Kamala
was there
left.
every night. Trump was there every night at his event, his convention. It was amazing. When they spoke, she was in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So, believe me, they are a mess.
They are a
the
mess.
Democratic Party is an absolute mess.
It was not an accident or a coincidence that Kamala was not there while the Obamas were there. The exact reasoning, I don't know. We'll never know. We could speculate, but there's no unity there. They don't get along. And the thing about the Obamas, they didn't have any policy or anything. It was just, like the other ones. It was just, we hate Trump, you hate Trump, we all hate Trump. And the convention itself, the Democrat convention, is really a joke. I mean, they have wrecked the country, right? Trump handed them a perfect country with a perfect economy.
Exactly.
No war.
That's right. He said all they had to do was nothing, leave everything alone, but they destroyed everything, which is what Democrats do. And they destroy everything they touch.
And the Democrats have started multiple wars, one in the Middle East, one in Europe. The United States has been invaded by over 20 million illegals who are committing just the worst crimes you can commit, rape and murder, and many other crimes throughout our country. We're being invaded. Inflation is at a point where people are going without food. Okay. And they're spending a week having a pep rally saying 4 more years of this.
Exactly. The problem
is joke.
She is coming from an administration that has done so bad. She's not coming in from the outside and saying, I'm going to fix it. She's like, well, I'm going to fix things that I've screwed up. I mean, and people realize that. It's just ridiculous. I think she's going to get destroyed in this election. I really do. I think any polls that show her head are complete lies and nonsense. Elon Musk did a poll. Now, I know that's global. I understand that when he does things, people globally, but it's still interesting. Trump versus Harris, and Trump had like 74%. She had 20%, and it had like 3 million views. I mean, I'm sure, that's a global poll. But still, it shows you he's got like 160 million followers on X. So I'll have to check and see the status of that poll now. But it shows you how unlike she is.
Now, I got an update on that poll we started the segment with, okay? There's a bit of an update. Some more of it has been released. The Navigator survey. It's a swing state poll of likely voters. That's the most scientific sample you can get. These are just battlegrounds. Pennsylvania, Trump 48, Kamala Harris 46, Trump up 2. Arizona, Trump 49, Kamala 46, so Trump is up 3. North Carolina 48-46, Trump up 2. Tied in Wisconsin at 48-48. And Kamala has a 1-point lead in Michigan, 47-46. However, she was 2 or 3 points ahead, so Trump's actually gained a couple points there. And if this thing with RFK happens, that'll change that even more. So we've got all the momentum, we got all the momentum going, but we still have to have a massive turnout and swamp them. The only thing we have
absolutely
that could work against us is overconfidence.
Right.
So, you can't, we got to run like we're 100 million votes behind, right?
Yeah, let's get Trump to 100 million votes at least. And people are early voting. And I think he's really going after Gen Z. And I think that's really going to put him over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And because he's doing interviews with all of their big influencers and very good interviews. And they're asking him really good questions. And it's really nice to see this Gen Z, the pendulum swinging back to more conservative thinking, because the millennials and that group and some of the Gen Z are just so radicalized.
Yeah, I want to play a clip from one of those. President Trump did an interview with that Vaughn guy yesterday.
Yeah, Theo Vaughn with a very cool mullet.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of him before. I don't know too much about him. He's an actor, a comedian or something. I've seen some of the interviews he's done. But he interviewed Trump yesterday, and, this guy, he doesn't get dressed up too much, and he actually put on a jacket out of respect for Trump.
That's right. I noticed that, too. When he interviewed Bernie Sanders, he wore a baseball hat and a T-shirt, and when he interviewed Trump, he took his hat off and he had a jacket on. And I said, you know what? That is respect.
That's what
That's why he did that. He respects this man.
But Theo Vaughn asked Trump one of the best questions I've ever heard asked of him by anyone who's interviewing him. And that includes, by the way, Tucker Carlson and people like that. This guy asked Trump that $64,000 question, one of the great questions. So let me just play this, then we'll talk about it.
It's pretty clear that the establishment doesn't like you, I would say. What do you think?
Well, I think the people like me.
Oh, yeah, the people.
We're leading now in all the polls. We're leading in Rasmussen just came out a little while. Rasmussen's a very highly regarded poller. We're leading by 5 points. So we won in 2016, and then we did much better in 2020. Much better. Got millions and millions more votes. And
why does the establishment keep trying to sink you? Like, what is it that they are so afraid of?
They want to sell product that I'm not interested in. They want to have certain boats and certain chips and certain planes and certain everything bought. Pharma is another one that's, interesting.
Or do they push back against you think?
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that they do. In one way, that's a positive thing politically, because when you can show that they push back, the voters seem to like it. But we have a lot of popularity. We have a lot of people that want to see me come back and win, because we had a great time. We had the greatest economy in history when I was president.
Oh, yeah. My cousin got a boat.
Best job numbers. Yeah, we had the best job numbers. African American, Hispanic American. If you look, Asian American job numbers, women, men, everybody. We did a lot of good things. We cut taxes more than anybody else, including Ronald Reagan. We cut regulations, which created jobs. We had a great period of time, and I think the people want it back based on what I'm seeing.
Okay, so what Trump is saying is the military-industrial complex and the donors are against him.
Exactly, because like he said, they want him to buy certain equipment with certain contractors, and that's really what it's basically down to, is he won't do that. He won't buy what the things they want him to buy because it's not a good deal for the country, and that's why they really hate him, because he actually does things that are good for America that save us money, and it interrupts all these people that have a lot of money and power that are making millions and billions of dollars off these deals.
And Kathy, that's who killed the Kennedys, right? According to RFK, those same
That's
people.
what Eisenhower said.
Now,
beware the military-industrial complex.
Now, I don't know if it was...
That was the result of World War II.
I think this was last week this happened. Early last week, Richie the bus driver... Richie the bus driver he's a handful of people that have my cell phone number, so he'll text me sometimes stuff. And I was driving to the radio station one day early last week, and I started getting my text messages were going off, and I checked it because he was texting me at 5 in the morning, and I thought it might be you or something. You would just call me if there was something. But I did, and it was Richie, and he was having a panic attack, and he called me on the air about it, what he was texting me about, and he was having a panic attack over the bookies' betting odds on the race were giving it to Kamala, right? And he was like, the bookies, they're not in the losing money. And I said, we had a conversation about it. The latest odds just came out from the bookmakers on the election. They give Donald it's turned. They give Donald Trump 52% chance of winning now. And he was
higher.
Way down according to the bookies early last week. So there's been a big change. A lot of the change is certainly her in her speech last week, the Marxist food thing that she's, by the way, was talking about.
I think that really
yesterday.
hurt her. That was a really stupid thing. She even has the CEO of Target, which is a very liberal company. They allow men in the women's bathrooms, and we're selling all that pro-gay children stuff. He's even come out against that and is talking about how she doesn't know what she's talking about and how bad that would be for the country.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And his company, for sure. I mean, it would, I really don't understand all the economics. I would like Trump to, because he was an economics major, I would like him to explain a little bit more how that would affect the country if that happened. Like, systematically, what would occur. And I think it would occur very quickly. He could say, if she does this, this is what's going to happen to America, other than these, being very general about the stock market, which is true. But he could explain the economics behind such a horrible decision and how that would destroy businesses and grocery stores, and there'd be a food shortage. And I'd like him to really break that down. It's so funny because Ana Navarro, who I can't stand, I haven't watched the convention either. She goes up, and I saw a clip. She speaks at the DNC convention, how she's from Nicaragua and her family fled communism. But she's supporting Kamala, who is a communist. Exactly. But she thinks Trump's a dictator.
Yeah.
She's either completely brainwashed or she's just trying to keep her job at The View, because I think she's addicted to the fame.
You also got to remember, Ana Navarro is a Miami person. She's in with Jeb Bush.
I think it's beyond Jeb Bush. I think it's a mix of a lot. I think she's addicted to the fame that she has. She's had a complete glam makeover, and I think she will say whatever she has to say to keep her job on The View. I mean, she's always bashed Trump, but that's what got her where she is today. I mean, it's been very lucrative for her.
Nationalizing the food industry from the farm to the grocery store, I don't know what percentage of the economy the food industry is. I think it's hard to put a measure on it because every retail store sells food, right? I mean, there's so much of it. So it's got to be one of the largest sectors of the economy, the food industry. In fact, here in Florida, the largest employer in the state of Florida is Publix, which is the big grocery chain in Florida. And I bet you in a lot of states, grocery chains are the largest employers in a lot of states, just at that level. But there's a lot that goes up before it gets to the grocery store. And it would be a disaster. Now, J.D. Vance is with President Trump today, and he spoke. He's very good. I'm very impressed with J.D. Vance. And he was talking about Tim Walz. I cannot wait for their debate. This is J.D. in North Carolina today talking about Walz, who was a compulsive liar.
Now, Kamala Harris, she gets really mad when I bring up the stolen valor of her running mate. But let me tell you why it matters. Every single person here understands why this matters. Here's the record on Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota. He dropped out of the military and allowed his unit to go to Iraq without him. And he knew they were going to Iraq. He lied about it, but he knew they were going to Iraq. Even his chaplain called him a coward. And those of you who served in the military know the chaplain is the nicest person in the unit. If the chaplain is calling you a coward, you must have really screwed up. He claimed to carry a weapon in war, but you ask him, Tim, what war have you ever been in? And the answer is he's never been to a single war. He lied about it. He lied about his rank, and he stood in silence as Nancy Pelosi and a lot of journalists praised him for his service on an imaginary battlefield instead of correcting the record. What won't Stolen Valor Tim Walz fib about? In fact, I believe at his next speech, he's probably going to say he survived an assassination attempt in Pennsylvania. I think that's what Tim Walz is going to claim next time.
Probably.
Now look, we don't criticize, and this is where the media is dishonest here, we don't criticize Tim Walz for his years of service in the National Guard. We condemn him for lying about that service for political gain. It's disgraceful, and nobody should tolerate it.
He also said, I retweeted it, it's way down in your Twitter feed.
Yeah.
He said that Walz got married in China.
Yes,
and
right.
honeymoon in China.
Kathy,
he said, hold on.
He got married in Tiananmen Square.
Right. He got married there.
In Tiananmen Square.
He honeymooned there. He went through the whole thing. He's been there over 33 times.
Yeah.
He said he taught a course on a communist-approved course over there. He said the guy is so in bed with China. Who the hell gets married in China?
In Tiananmen Square.
That's
a site of a massacre.
That is somebody, to me, who... was
pretty sick.
Got flipped in the army. Something happened.
Something happened,
like the Manchurian Candidate, he started playing solitaire and something went wrong.
Something.
I mean, you know what I mean?
There's something
like
there.
In that movie, we just watched that the other day.
Yeah, there's something there.
But
the original Manchurian Candidate,
the original with Frank Sinatra, and the guy that they brainwashed. They when they wanted him to do something, they told him to play solitaire. And that's when his brain kind of clicked. And I think he's been playing solitaire for decades. And I think that happens, like Oswald, Benedict Arnold, people that are in the military that serve the country and are loyal. Something happens and they switch alliances. Something angers them towards this country. And this happens all the time. I think Milley is this way. John Kelly. They flip and they use their military to try to convince people that they're patriotic, but they're not. They're really working against the country. Something happens.
Yeah.
What do you think about the rally with the glass? I'm glad Trump is being protected, and he didn't mention it today, which I think is good. He just went on with the speech. And there was glass behind him and in front of him. And unfortunately, that's the way it has to be. But he has to be safe. And I think it's fine to continue with that.
He was behind glass on January 6th, if you remember.
Yeah. And, well, they're going to do it now during these outdoor rallies. And I think they have to do it. And it's a smart thing to do.
Now, yesterday, Kathy and I, we got our new MyPillow mattress. And I got to tell you, we got a new bed. So we had to get a different size mattress, and we got the MyPillow mattress, and we got a type of mattress that I don't think I've had since I was a kid. We got a coil mattress. It's a hybrid.
It's a hybrid. It's a coil and foam, the cooling technology foam. Yeah, we have not had a coil mattress in our whole marriage. The thing is, the box mattresses, which are fine for some. This is not a box mattress because it has coils. So it's delivered, not in a box. And I got to tell you, last night, wow.
The thing about the coil mattress, because what we've had for a long time are those foam mattresses, which, they're okay, but it's not like having coils. And I don't know why we decided to go this route this time, but we said, hey, let's give it a try. And by the way, the MyPillow mattress, it's 50% off with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane.
If you check because I wanted to see what other hybrid mattresses were going for. And MyPillow is like half the price of the exact same technology.
Plus you get the
exact same mattresses.
Plus you get a discount on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same exact materials, made the same way as those higher brand so-called luxury mattresses. This is exactly the same. I couldn't believe it. And everything he makes is great.
Now, we've only slept on it one night. We slept on it last night. It was amazing. We got our mattress topper on top of it too, of course. But because of the coils, it really has I feel like it has lumbar support. And so we got it. We got the new bed. We got the new mattress. And it's only been one night. But Kathy, it's an experience like I don't ever remember having on a mattress, because with those foam mattresses, you sink down into them, right?
If you have back issues, it's the toppers are wonderful, but the coils definitely help.
Yeah,
they definitely help.
It's absolutely amazing. So we have the topper on top of the mattress. It works wonderful. And they come in every mattress size, by the way. So the MyPillow mattress, 50% off with our promo code Kane. And we used our promo code Kane, Kane, at checkout and got the 50% off ourselves. So go to MyPillow.com, get your MyPillow coil mattress. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We're going to take our last break and be back right after this.
Imagine you wake up in a world that you don't recognize. You have no memory of how you got there and no clue who you are. This is the reality for Kelly Wilson. From author B.S. Gibbs comes the new book, Kelly Wilson and the Forbidden Touch of the Tism, available on Amazon. After a car crash, Kelly finds herself in Lucid. It's a parallel universe where nothing is as it seems. Guided by a brilliant scientist, Dr. Edwards, she starts to piece together her past. But the more she remembers, the more she realizes that Lucid is far from peaceful. Kelly discovers secrets that could threaten not just Lucid, but our world too. Can Kelly and Dr. Edwards stop the impending danger before it's too late? Find out when you read Kelly Wilson and the Forbidden Touch of the Tism from author B.S. Gibbs. This must-read book is a powerful narrative that sheds light on autism and social issues. It reminds us that every individual, regardless of their differences, plays a vital role in our world. It's also a great addition to your book club. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Kelly Wilson and the Forbidden Touch of the Tism from author B.S. Gibbs. In today's world, it's information overload. It's everywhere you go. Social media, school, work. The facts just keep flying at you. It's safe to say we're all a little drunk with facts. But sorting through all that information can be a challenge. That's where the Drunk with Facts podcast comes in. Drunk with Facts covers everything. Climate change, food, monsoons in Arizona. And that's just the beginning. Drunk with Facts takes the overwhelming flood of facts and breaks them all down for you and puts them in perspective. It's educational, but it's a lot of fun too. Whether you're curious about the latest headlines or just want to learn something new, Drunk with Facts has you covered. It's the perfect mix of knowledge and entertainment designed to keep you informed and entertained. Add Drunk with Facts to your Spotify playlist. It's also on YouTube and Rumble. Subscribe today and get your facts straight without the hangover. Drunk with Facts, where learning is always a good time. Parents, do you know why your child's tummy hurts? Millions of children across America are facing tummy pain, allergies, asthma, and much more. But what if there was a way to help them understand and overcome these challenges? From author Gayla McKenzie Strawn comes a groundbreaking new book that brings fun, education, and wellness together. Why Does My Tummy Hurt? Available online at healthychild.love. With Why Does My Tummy Hurt? You and your children will join the Happy Tummy team on an exciting journey through the digestive system. This 125-page cartoon flipbook teaches children how food and stress affect their tummies and their overall health, and is filled with simple explanations about good and bad bacteria, healthy food choices, and the secrets to a happy tummy. Your child will discover the good guys and the bad guys in the digestive system. They'll learn how to make choices that keep their tummy and their body happy. Order your copy of Why Does My Tummy Hurt? Online at healthychild.love and empower your children with knowledge that will last them a lifetime and give them the tools to feel great each and every day. Why Does My Tummy Hurt? From author Dr. Gayla McKenzie Strawn. Order today at healthychild.love. From author Liam Gold comes an epic adventure where destiny, courage, and wisdom come alive in Sands of Destiny. In ancient Egypt, you'll meet Prince Thutmose. He uncovers ancient secrets and faces trials that will test his courage and his resolve. Sands of Destiny is a story about transformation where every discovery brings the prince closer to a legacy that will inspire generations. Sands of Destiny will transport you to a world filled with mystical intrigue, intrigue, and timeless themes. If you're a fan of historical fiction, love adventure, and have an interest in the timeless allure of ancient Egypt, this is your next must-read book. Begin your journey today with Sands of Destiny from author Liam Gold, available on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. This is your chance to experience the adventure that will leave you breathless and inspired. Sands of Destiny on Amazon.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. So Jack Posobiec confronted Eric Holder, of all people, about Tim Walz today. This is pretty wild. And, of course, he was recording it, Jack Posobiec. Listen.
Excuse me, A.G. Holder. A.G. Holder, why didn't you vet Tim Walz? Why didn't you vet Tim Walz? What about his stolen valor? Why are you hurting me? What about stolen valor? Why didn't you vet him for stolen valor, A.G. Holder?
This is at the convention.
Okay. Why did he lie? Why did he lie about deploying to Iraq, A.G. Holder?
All right, let me rewind it.
Now. You can stop pushing me now. Valor. Why didn't you vet him for stolen valor, A.G. Holder? Oh, excuse me. You know, you're a fool, okay? Why did he lie? Why did he lie about deploying to Iraq, A.G. Holder? You can stop pushing me now. You can stop pushing me now. Why did he lie about deploying to Iraq? Excuse me, I'm pressed. I am pressed. I'm back. You're coming up on me. He's the one who cursed me out. I want to answer the question. Why did Tim Walz lie about going to Iraq and you didn't vet him? You didn't vet him, Eric Holder. You did not vet Tim Walz. Why did you not vet Tim Walz's stolen valor? Why didn't you vet his IVF? He lied about IVF. He lied about his rank. Eric Holder couldn't do his job. Held in contempt, couldn't do his job, couldn't vet Tim Walz. Stolen valor. Stolen valor. You can keep pushing me all you want. I got you on film, man. Have I been aggressive in any way? And what about yourself? What about yourself? Vocal, I'm pressed. What do you think? You ever heard of the First Amendment, my friend?
That's Eric Holder's security guy.
Press pass. I'm doing my job here.
He's still following him.
Look, Eric, just give me a statement. Go ahead. Give me your best. Who you with? Hey, Garrett. Who you with? What I with? Who am I with? I'm with RAV.
Hear how his security team, they're trying to silence the press, suppress the press. Who you with? You're too vocal.
Again, I'm just trying to interview Attorney General Eric Holder. I haven't been aggressive in any way. This guy's going to being what? Interview people? You can't go past this area. What's this area? I am press. I didn't say press. Isn't this a media row? Yeah, but you can't. I can't go into media row? But I'm press. Which way are you trying to go? And this is media row, right? Yes or no? Can you just give me an answer? I'm just asking a question. Got a basic question here. So she's saying I can't go on media row, but I am press. I don't understand why. So wait, media row, like right here? Yeah. Yeah, you're good to go. Yeah. It's exiting the building. Okay. You're good to go. So the exit. All right, fine.
Wow. I mean, that's an amazing thing because you see what they do, the Democrats, right? If you're if you're in the media and you're asking like real questions, they suppress you. Right. They won't even let you in Media Row because you're asking the wrong questions that the media aren't supposed. You're too vocal. The guy said, "You're too vocal." Yeah, you're media, but you're too vocal.
Right. Well, you're not saying what they want you to say.
It's really, Breitbart, when he was alive, he's the one that started that coined that phrase, citizen journalist. And I remember when Jack Posobiec used to be on Periscope, and he would just live stream like from his bedroom on Periscope. And now look, he's confronting Eric Holder at the Democrat National Convention.
Crazy.
And, the Democrats, the entire party is dissolving before our very eyes. And it's happening for a lot of reasons, mainly because of Trump. But a lot of it has to do with are the citizen journalists. Here you have Jack Posobiec. All he's got is his voice, some questions, and his iPhone. Mm-hmm. And you look at what is going on in this country. Most of what's being exposed about the left is happening through citizen journalists. Like all this stuff with Tim Walz. These are people.
Well, and Jack Posobiec's he's a veteran.
That's exactly right.
Too. I mean, he was like he was in intelligence. Like
he's
Steve
brilliant.
Bannon.
He's brilliant.
So that really it should anger every American, but especially people that have served.
Yeah,
it's a slap in the face.
Well, all this stuff with Walz, for example, just like all these things that have been coming out with Kamala the last week or two, it's all citizen journalists on social media. And the Democrats have always been corrupt. They've always had these problems, but they controlled the narrative through the media. Mm-hmm. And they don't control the media anymore because we have citizen journalists, like people doing what Jack Posobiec's doing, what we're doing. They can no longer control the narrative. Eric Holder was an attorney for Al-Qaeda terrorists in Guantanamo Bay. He was a deputy attorney general in the Clinton administration with Janet Reno, who was involved in some of those controversial pardons. People would give Bill Clinton money, and then he would pardon them in exchange for payoffs. He did all that. Then when George Bush was president, he spent those years in private practice as an attorney representing the people that brought down the buildings. I mean, what kind of sicko is that? Then he becomes attorney general. The Democrats have only gotten through the last 50 years because they were able to control the narrative, silence things that they didn't want out there. And Eric Holder, according to Jack Posobiec, said "F you" to him.
It is amazing since Elon Musk took over X or
it's
Twitter,
changed everything.
Especially since he's backing Trump. If you're not on X, you need to be. It is so MAGA. It's ridiculous. It's more MAGA than Truth Social. Mm-hmm. It is so MAGA. And there is so much there that Jack Posobiec is definitely one to follow along with Brian. And there is so much out there that's breaking all the time, like all day long, of crazy things breaking. And then they end up to be true. Laura Loomer, follow her, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Jack Posobiec. Just those three alone will keep you in the loop of what's happening, because they'll tweet something and the next thing you know, it's like in the mainstream media,
That's
like 2 or 3 days later, like with Laura Loomer with Biden having a medical emergency.
That's right.
She tweeted that 2 or 3 weeks before it even got out in the main press.
Mm-hmm. She was right.
Because people that are in the know, that are there, they leak it to these people. They leak it to them because they know they'll put it on X and get the word out. And that's how it works.
And, all this stuff that's going on, these clips of Kamala, and all this stuff with the stolen valor with Walz, if the old people still ran Twitter, none of that would be allowed.
Exactly. That's what I mean. None of this would be
happening. Stolen valor stuff. Oh, you can't disrespect his military service. He served honorably for 24 years.
They would be suspending all these accounts.
Yeah.
All these accounts would be suspended. They would be removing posts. And Elon Musk doesn't do any of that. Of course, now they say it's all misinformation. The media lies. That's all they do, the mainstream media. Everything they say is a lie. But X is where you get the truth.
But, yeah. I think every day, when I go through the news, every morning when I do my show prep, I think about what would be going on right now if Elon Musk had not bought Twitter and turned it into X.
It's a stark difference.
It isn't it?
Yeah, and you would not be hearing half of these things that are getting out. And I believe there are people in the Democratic Party, and maybe even people with Biden, that are leaking things to hurt Kamala.
Oh yeah.
And putting things out there,
no doubt,
because they know it'll get on X and it'll stay on X. They know that it'll get out and it'll get retweeted, And before, there was like a big brother,
with the laptop, for example. Yeah. They remember the New York Post got suspended on Twitter because of the laptop story.
Right. See, that's not happening. Can you imagine? Now. That's not happening.
All this stuff.
And Trump's back is on X. So.
Yeah, I'm glad that he's tweeting again. By the way, since it's X, do you still tweet or do you X? Has that been clarified?
You have to say tweet because you can't really say you were X'd.
Exactly.
That just sounds strange.
I don't know why he changed the name Elon Musk.
Doesn't he have a son named X?
I think
he
named
one of his sons X. I don't know if this is the one that became a girl, though.
But regardless of this, if Elon Musk had not bought Twitter, things would be very different in this election cycle because, Kamala Harris has been so discredited by not just the things about her that have come out, but mainly the thing about Walz. Mm-hmm. Even Jack Posobiec mentioned this. All of a sudden, Michelle Obama and Tim Walz, their children were conceived from in vitro.
Exactly.
Why are they? What's with that lie? What's that about?
Abortion is not. It's not getting people excited on the Democratic Party like it used to.
No,
it's not an issue anymore. So now all of a sudden, IVF, which Trump is not against, IVF is becoming a thing that they're trying to get women. They're trying to get women. To vote for these women's issues.
And that's the IVF.
So now all of a sudden you're hearing how these people that like Michelle and Tim used first of all, I don't believe any of that. Used IVF.
IVF is the test tube baby thing, right? That's what they used to call test tube babies, I think.
I think it's where, because my friend's daughter went through it. It's very expensive and they remove eggs.
Yeah, I know what they do.
Freeze them and then they take the male of the father's sperm and in a lab, wherever, they put them together. This is for women who have trouble getting pregnant or they're a little older. And then I think this is how it works. And then they put it back in the woman or a surrogate.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It could be a surrogate too.
Yeah. And that's.
No one's going to get excited about IVF.
No.
I'm sorry.
The people care about being
able to buy food. That's what people care about.
Well, they think that women only care about reproductive rights, and they think that black people only care about reparations.
Yes,
they don't understand that the issues that people really care about are the things they've effed up: the economy, the border, and crime. Those are the top three issues that they are responsible for destroying, and people don't even talk about COVID, which is good because that was not Trump's fault. And I am very surprised that nobody is mentioning that on the Democratic side, the way Trump handled it. I don't know why that is, but it's not even a mention. I think people have COVID fatigue and they don't want to hear about it on either side. They don't want to talk about it. They're sick of it. And it's not being mentioned by anybody. It's like it didn't even happen now because they don't even mention, Trump, and they did that for a while. And how they felt he didn't handle it right. So that's interesting.
Right. Well, I want to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And if you would like to support the program by becoming a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode of the podcast. It's also in my YouTube video descriptions, a link to the Patreon page. And, of course, Patreon supporters all have access to commercial-free editions of all of our podcast episodes. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout out on every episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, John S, Christy R, Rob and Trish Wilkerson, LeeZep, Shawna, Constance, George, Brandon, K-Mac, Alice, Richard, Heather, David, and Maria in Texas. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all for your support. My name is Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We will talk to you next.